Something a little bit different is brewing here on the channel today. So let's get into it. Hey Stitches, it's your girl Kris. Welcome on into the channel if you're new here. Welcome back to the channel if you are an OG. However you got here, wherever you are here, thank you so much for clicking on today's video, where your girl is going to be trying something a little bit different here on the channel. Now, truth be told, I wish I had put my planning brain, my planning gears into motion a little bit sooner, because I actually already started cutting out this pattern. And if I had thought of it earlier, then I would have taken you guys along with me on the ride from the very inception of this project. But what is the project? I am going to be making the Pelican tote bag by Bag Stock Designs. I don't think I've ever made a bag here on the channel before. And as I was finishing prepping the pieces, I was like, wait, why haven't I taken my viewers along with me on this ride? Now, why am I even making a bag? Now, back in November, Black Sewing Network hosted the International Sewing Day of Service, and your girl was a proud participant. For the International Sewing Day of Service, 8 locations came together on the 15th of November and started on sewing projects that focused on giving back to our respective communities. So each location had to come up with a project, and my project here on the island was to teach some young girls how to sew and together sew up some pillowcases. Now that was like 2 months ago. And I thought that I didn't want to just do the project on a one-off whim and then do nothing else ever again, or at least nothing else until the next International Sewing Day of Service. I wanted to keep the ball rolling well into 2026. And so you guys, this year I am going to be hosting some sewing socials, which are going to be in-person sewing events here on the island, really focused on reinvigorating people towards the art of sewing. Like, sewing is not a hobby here on the island. I could count on one hand the number of people I know who actually sew. And I want to change that because sewing is such an amazing skill. I feel like everybody needs to learn how to sew. Like, why not? And so that is what my sewing socials will be focused on throughout this year. I'm going to be hosting them throughout the months, like I'm going to be sprinkling them throughout the year. And I want to take on different projects. I don't want it to be the same thing. I don't want it to be necessarily the same set of people. I still need to find a space where I can call my own, that I can teach like formal sewing classes. These sewing socials are not going to be formal sewing classes. These are just going to be little tasters, I think, into what sewing can offer. And so for one of the first sewing socials I'm going to be putting on, it's happening on Sunday, like next Sunday. I'm actually recording this on the Sunday before. And that social is going to be about making a tote bag, and we are going to be using the Pelican tote bag by Bagstock Designs. Now, obviously, I can't host a sewing social. I cannot do an in-person sew-along of sorts without knowing what the heck I'm doing. And so I need to go ahead and sew up a mock version of this bag so that I can show the participants what they should have by the time we end the session. And then I'm going to sew up a second bag during the session where I'm going to be taking it step by step. Now, the other sewing social that I'm going to be having next weekend as well is going to be on Saturday. I don't know whose great idea it was to have 2 sewing socials back to back, but the Saturday social is going to be focused on little kids, and we are going to be making aprons, and we are going to be using the Sam apron by Helen's Closet. Now, I really, really, really hope that these type of events will help sewing to catch on and spread like a wildfire in my community. I really just wanted to focus on kids. That was the initial mission, but the adults have been hounding me. Why you only want to teach children how to sew? What happened to the adults them? Are we bringing them too hard for learn? Why you don't want to teach are we too? Etc, etc, etc. So I decided, all right, I'm going to focus on the kids, but I'm going to give the adults some space to shine as well. And so I'm having back-to-back classes. One on Saturday, aprons with the kiddies. One on Sunday, bags with the adults. Now, for my bag patterns, I have already prepped 8 Nine bag patterns. Oh my gosh, you guys. It was torture, I tell you. I obviously didn't think this through. I must not have, because cutting out the pieces for 9 bags, and worse yet, the interfacing, cutting and fusing the interfacing has been torture. So much so that my herniated disc in my back has flared up and now it's hurting me. And I'm like, no, it's not the time, because I need to be able to sew this week. And I definitely need to sew next weekend. So I don't know what I'm going to do about it, but something has to be done. So say a prayer for your girl and maybe talk some sense into me down below in the comment section. Like, ask me, Kris, what are you really doing? Does this really make sense? This is going to be a one-person mission. You guys. Anyways, it's already planned. The wheels are already in motion, so I got to get it done. It's just that it has been so much work. Now, if this was a formal teaching class, then we would have been cutting out the pattern pieces together, doing the interfacing together and all the prep work, but it is not. Because it is a social, we only have 4 hours to make up this pattern. And because the participants have never sewn a stitch in their life, most of them, and if they have, it would probably be very minimal, then I wanted to concentrate on the actual sewing, the actual fun part, to stimulate people to at least want to learn more. If I was just hosting a sewing social about cutting and prepping pieces, I could almost guarantee that nobody would sign up for the next social. When I get to formal teaching, obviously that's going to be part of it, because that is part of sewing. But for the socials, I just wanted to concentrate on the fun bits. And so your girl has been slaving away with all of the hard bits. Now, the class actually has 7 people in it. And then I needed an 8th one, which is what I'm going to be using to demonstrate in the class as we sew along together. And then the 9th one is going to be for the sample. And it is the 9th one that I'm actually going to show you here today. I don't think I'm going to show you all of the others. Maybe I should show you the combinations. That might be fun. All right, I think I'm going to show you the combinations, but let's focus first on the sample bag, and then we can get to the combinations a little bit later. Now, for the sample bag, before I show you the sample bag, I should also say that I have slightly hacked this pattern by omitting the zipper pockets. This is a beginner-friendly class, and even intermediate and advanced sewists hate zippers. Now, I don't really have any issues with zippers, but I know a lot of people do, and I did not want to turn off this class by fiddling with zippers, and that would also mean I would need a longer time span for this class, and I just don't have that time slot available. So it's going to be 4 hours and done. So whatever we're doing needs to be able to be accomplished within that time. Right. So I've hacked the pattern to omit the zippers, but the rest of the pattern is as designed. And I thought it would have been a simple enough pattern, but all these pieces, you guys, oh my goodness. No, the pattern does have a center of the bag, then 2 sides of the bag, and that has to be repeated on 2 sides to create that 3-dimensional shape. And then, of course, there's a lining on the inside. So for my centerpiece, I have gone with cork. I had this in my stash and I love it. I've used it as accents in a couple of the bags. I've made the Apex bag way back when, and I remember using some cork on that, and I loved it. And I used that cork with some denim. I had a really, really dark wash denim in my stash then, and I loved how it turned out, and I wanted to sort of mimic the look. And so I went ahead and cut out my side portions using denim. Now this one isn't as dark of a wash as I would have liked, but this is the one that I had in my stash that I could pull out quite easily. And time is of the essence, and so I am just going to go ahead and use it. I actually think I want to bleach dye my denim, but I'm not sure how to go ahead and do it since I have already prepped the pieces with the interfacing. Maybe I should have thought of it earlier, bleach dyed the denim, washed it out, then went ahead and prepped the pieces. But again, I am a terrible, terrible planner, because it is now the Sunday before, as I said, and this is where we're at. Now the bag also has some little tabs to close the bag, and you're meant to use a magnetic snap. Now, it just turns out that when I was planning this class, I intended to have only 6 participants. And so I have 6 magnetic snaps, and I don't have any more, you guys. And I didn't source any extra because I hadn't thought that far ahead. I was just thinking about the class itself. I ended up having 7 participants instead of 6, so I am short 1. And then, of course, the 2 that I am going to do for myself, the sample one and the one in class, I'm not going to have the magnetic snaps. So I'm thinking maybe I could just go ahead and put like a buttonhole and a button to hold my bag closed, but I'm going to see what happens when I sew up the sample, and then I can make a more informed decision. Now, the last one I want to show you, this is going to be my lining. I had this blue and white viscose fabric left back in my stash, and I had actually made the Deer and Doe Melilo shirt using this fabric. And I thought, since it's going to be a sample anyway, I could use this to line my bag. And I did go ahead and interface these pieces as well. Honestly, I wish I had a more stable interfacing in my stash, but I don't. I tend to buy my interfacing as a lightweight interfacing because it works wonders for me. And again, I did not think it completely through that maybe a more stable interfacing would have made it a lot stiffer. Granted, most of the bag mains are canvas fabric anyway, and so they're stiff enough, I felt like, without that stiff interfacing. But for the lining pieces, I probably could have benefited from a stiffer interfacing. But we are going to go with what we have, and so that is going to be my bag portion. Now, in terms of the straps, the instructions tell you to cut out your pieces to make some straps, but I actually want to go ahead and use some weft. Now, I did buy enough, is it not weft? What am I talking about? Some webbing. I did buy enough webbing, I think, to cover the bags for the actual participants, but I'm not quite sure if I have enough for my sample bags. So I do need to go ahead and cut out the webbing for the class first, and then I'll see what I have left back. And if I have enough webbing, then I will use a piece for this bag. If I do not, then I'm going to go ahead and cut out some more denim and use denim as my bag straps. So that is the plan. That is what we're going to be working on throughout this video. But I'm not going to sew it right now because I actually have to head to the kitchen and cook. It is Sunday, as I said before, and I got to feed the fam. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. And fingers crossed, a lot later, I will be able to start this bag and then sew it up throughout the week. And I'm going to be taking you guys along with me for the ride. So if you have never made a bag before, or if you're curious to see how this one comes together, make sure you keep watching. Drop me a comment down below and let me know if you have made a bag before, if you have tried out this pattern before, if you haven't, if you are now curious to see how my bag comes together, and if you have any questions about my sewing socials as well, please drop them down below in the comment section because I am very, very eager and very, very excited to talk about it and to get it done. Now, before I bid you adieu for now, let me just go ahead and grab the other bag combinations because every bag has been specifically curated. They are uniquely curated because I live on a tiny island and we don't need 2 people walking around with the same bag unless absolutely necessary. I wanted each piece to be unique. Everybody would be leaving with a bag that has been specifically thought about in terms of the main and the lining combinations and the webbing and all of that. And hopefully having that as a reminder would get people excited to come to future classes and even more excited to buy a machine and to teach them how to actually sew. So we will see. So let me grab those other combinations and then I'll come back and share with you. All right, I'm back. And when I tell you your girl has been working, your girl has been working. It is one thing to cut out pattern pieces for one project and you're interfacing for one project and then to fuse the interfacing to the pattern pieces for one project. It's a completely different kettle of fish when it is 9 different bags. Oh my God. It almost took me out, you guys. You guys don't understand. Oh, the torture. Anyways, let me show you the combinations that I have come up with. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which combination or combinations you like the best. Now, I haven't pulled the webbing. They're all stacked on my table and I do need to measure those and cut them. I have not done that just yet because all of my free time yesterday and the evening before was spent cutting. And the weekend before and a couple of days in between, just cutting fabric and interfacing and fusing interfacing to fabric. This is why I have not yet started on a 2026 sewing project, because I have been inundated with bag supplies. My gosh. All right. So the first fabric is this one. So this is the outer fabric. It is a canvas. I have interfaced it as well. And then this is going to be the inside lining. So main and lining. And the main does have some oranges and like yellows in it. And so I thought that this mustard color, it doesn't match perfectly, but I thought it coordinated well. And so I went with that for one of the combinations. So yep, that is combination number one. And I'm just going to set them out on the tables and have people come and just sit at a table, and where they sit will determine what combination they end up with. I thought that that would be the fairest way to like distribute the combinations. I didn't want anybody having to fight over a particular combination, and so that is what I have come up with. Now for the next combination, I have gone with this graffiti type fabric. I loved this one, you guys. I thought this was super cool. And then I went with this for the lining. Again, it coordinates well with like the pinks in the graffiti. And I just thought that this again would make for a really nice combination. So this is combination number two. Combination number three, I really loved. The only thing about this particular fabric is this one is not as heavy as most of the others. It is one of the downsides to buying fabric online. You can't actually feel it, but it is gorgeous nonetheless. I have gone ahead and interfaced it. I am considering doing a foam layer for this bag only, or doing a double interfacing, getting some stiffer interfacing. There is a local shop that has, I think, some basic stuff, including interfacing. And I want to go ahead and see if they have a slightly stiffer interfacing. And I think I might do another layer of interfacing on this one alone. And it is this gorgeous one, you guys. It is beautiful. This one was listed as a cotton canvas as well, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Oh my Lord, I love it. And then this is the lining. So main and the lining. I love this one. I really love this one. I'm almost feeling like that should have been one of the ones that I myself sew up, because as I said, I have to sew up too. But I also feel like that one is very catchy, and maybe one of the participants would really love that one. Not to say that all of the combinations aren't catchy. I guess my preference, like, those are just my colors, you guys. Those jewel tones are my colors. You can see my color chart in the back. I had my colors done like 4 or 5 years ago from Your Color Guru. And I am a Your Color Guru ambassador, by the way. So if you are thinking about getting your colors done for 2026, then make sure you check out Your Color Guru and use my code. It is on social. I will pop it here on screen as always. And get your colors done, you guys. It is an investment, a worthwhile investment in my opinion. Right, so moving on, the next combination is this one. This one is like florals, and I love this pop of lime green. I have been having a moment with green. I didn't in the past, but I certainly have in the last like 3 or so years been obsessed with green. And I have paired it with this like, is this like a, what is this, like a tealish color? And I thought that that picked up some of the darker greens like this one quite nicely. And yeah, another fantastic combination in my opinion. I guess I am biased though, because I chose all of these fabrics. I handpicked each combination, you guys. ordered the fabric, shipped them here to the island because these kind of things are not available. There is a small section in the store that I was telling you about that has fabric, but it's really basic fabrics, and I don't want basic for my sewing socials. I want bold and vibrant and vivacious, just like your girl, so that when people look at their bags, they're like, yeah, I want to do this again. I definitely want to do this again. And I thought they would appreciate, at least I'm hoping that they would appreciate all the time and effort it has taken to pull this all together, from shopping for the fabrics and prepping all the pieces and then doing the actual teaching. It has been a lot. It has really opened my eyes in a different way to planning things. When I'm doing it for myself, it doesn't feel this daunting at all, but it definitely has been an eye-opener for me. And I'm going to have to think carefully about how I go about organizing future classes, especially since the classes, there is a small fee for both of the classes. The kids class is nominal. It's 100 EC dollars, which is like, so 20 US is 54 EC dollars. So it's not even 40 US, and the kids have a double class. We're going to have 2 sessions on 2 separate Saturdays because I wasn't sure they would be able to finish their aprons in one class. And the reason that they're paying the nominal fee is just to try and help offset the price and the cost of the actual fabric. And I'm telling you, 40 US dollars, or less than 40 US dollars actually, doesn't even cover the cost of the fabric, never mind the shipping and the customs duties and all of the water to pre-wash the fabrics, all of the electricity to iron the fabrics and then fuse all the interfacing. It doesn't cover interfacing, it doesn't cover notions, it doesn't cover use of the machines, it definitely does not cover my teaching. So I'm not making any money from these classes. I'm not. That is the reality of it. And I'm doing this because I want other people to be as excited about sewing as I am. So on that note, if you wanted to donate to the cause, I've left my Ko-fi link down below in the description box. Your donations go a long way towards helping me upkeep the channel, but now even more importantly, helping me help other generations learn how to sew. So as I said, 40 US dollars for 2 classes, not 40 US dollars for each class, 40 US dollars for both classes. And we are sewing up aprons, and aprons take decent amounts of fabric, like over a yard of fabric, like a yard and a half. And a lot of the fabric is 44-inch in width. So like a yard and a half of fabric, and then all of the webbing and all the other things. I don't want to belabor the point, but I really wanted people to understand that I'm not doing this for money, because this definitely doesn't pay. Right. So this is the, I've lost count, but this is another combination. This one is black, and I love the shapes on this one. And I have paired it with more of the magenta lining, again, to pick up on some of the purples. It's not a perfect match, and I'm fine with that. I am more into like coordination than trying to be like perfect in terms of my matching. And I really like how this combination looks as well. Although I'm pretty sure I'm going to say that about every combination, but you will let me know in the comment section if you agree. Now, another combination is this one. This one is, oops, is the camera picking this one up? I loved this with the stripes, and the fabric has like a wash to it. You know, like when your jeans get a nice wearing and it gets a kind of stone wash? I'm getting this vibe from this fabric. And then I wanted something bold for my lining. This one might be a little bit controversial, but in my mind, stripes and florals go hand in hand. So I have done this floral for the lining, and then, oops, why am I showing you guys the interfaced pieces? So this is for the main and this is for the lining. And I thought this would be so dope. Stripe and florals, you guys. Stripe and florals. When it comes to print mixing, I don't think you can ever go wrong with stripes and florals. No, the last combination, no, this is not the last one. There's one more on my table. Anyways, this is another combination. This one is a chevron fabric, And I have paired that with these blue stripes. Again, chevron and stripes just work quite well for me. I thought this was cool as well. And remember, you're not going to actually see your inside bag unless you open your bag. Like, you will open your bag and then you can see the lining, but people looking at your bag from the outside aren't going to see the lining. And so there's no real harm, I guess, in having very funky linings if you wanted to. I have still tried to keep mine very coordinated, but I could have gone completely left field and come up with two clashing fabrics, as it were, because, as I said, I would be the only person seeing the inside, and it might make me happy. Now, let me just go and grab the last bag to show you. I don't know why I did not have it in my stack, but I know it's on my table. So let me go and get that, and then I will show you the final combination. All right, here we go. The final combination. I chose more stripes. I love stripes, you guys. And it is this one right here. This is like pastel stripes. And I have paired that with this like emerald green or forest green plain lining. I thought that this color picked up nicely with this color. Again, it's not a perfect match, but I felt like it coordinated really, really nicely. And yeah, this is combination number 9. I know it's number 9 because this is the last combination that I had to share, and I have prepped 9 bags. Now, so far as the webbing is concerned, I've grabbed just a few because I wanted to highlight in particular this webbing right here. Oops, can you see? It has the smaller stripes on one side, and then it has this larger stripe on the other side. And I was like, that is so, so, so cool. I've got it in pink as well. So we've got the smaller stripe on one side and then the larger stripe on the other side. And then, of course, I have some plain webbing as well. So this one, for example, is just a plain pink. You probably can't even see it through the bag. Why am I even trying to show you guys through the bag? So it's this one, like a raspberry pink as well. And so I am going to have to go through and assign the webbing for each of the combinations and then actually go ahead and cut them up. And if by chance I don't have enough of a particular color that I would like to pair with a bag, then I might have to go and create self bag straps using the fabric. Right, so those are all of the combinations. And now it's time for me to actually get working on my bag. I'm actually feeling like this video is ending up being longer than I thought it would have been because I've already talked your ears off about all of the prep work and then shown you all the combinations. And I had not really intended to show you all of the combinations when I sat down to film this video. But hey, spontaneity is the key of life. So I'm hoping this one doesn't end up too long. If it does, I might have to consider splitting it into 2 videos, even though I don't really want to do that. So let me hush up and stop talking. And the next time you see me, I will be pinning my fabric to head to my machine so we can start constructing this bag. Hey boos, I'm back. And I have all of my pieces with me so that I can sew up a sample of the Pelican tote, because how can your girl teach a lesson if she has no idea what she's meant to do? So I'm just going to go ahead and try it out. And I, as I told you already, decided to go with denim and cork. Now, cork is not the easiest fabric to sew. If you put pins in it, it will show. I am going to go ahead and put pins in it, but I am going to have to pin it in the seam allowance. Because it is not the most forgiving fabric, I am going to have to take my time when I get to the sewing machine because I really don't want to muck up. And that will require me to actually pay attention. Way too often, like I'm sewing, but I'm either rushing through it. I will admit I do that sometimes, or I get distracted because I'm listening to music or I'm watching something. But I definitely want to make sure, so far as is possible, that I don't have to use the seam ripper on this make. So I'm just going to go ahead. I probably should show you guys what I'm doing. Right, so I've just gone ahead and I pinned one side. Like, how does this look? I think it looks okay. I probably would have preferred it with a darker denim, but it will work for what I am doing. And I'm going to pin the side bag, as it were, to my center bag on both sides. Because we're turning a 2D shape into a 3D shape, obviously it means that we have to do two of these. So I am going to go ahead and do those, then do some top stitching, and then I think at that point I'll put the dots in. I'm not actually sure if that is the order of construction that is contemplated by the pattern designer. Maybe it is that I was supposed to put my dots in first before I do this bit, but you know me, I go with vibes and a prayer. And so this is what I'm going to do. So let me get started on this, and I will hopefully check in with you guys from time to time so you can see how it's coming together. All right, here we go. We have the main bag assembled. The sides have been stitched to the front. And then I went ahead and top stitched it, but I used a sort of like copper color thread that I had in my stash to kind of pick up on the gold on the center. It's not top stitching thread, and so it's not that apparent, but I can see it. It's just not picking up as boldly, I guess, on camera. So now that I have done that, I need to go in and mark in my dots. I do have the dot template, and what I like to do when I'm working with dots is I like to cut one leg of the dot and then fold it up against the other leg, like so. And that means when I go to mark in my dot, it's so much easier. All right, here we go. I've gone ahead and put all of my dots in. I did it for the main pieces, and I did go and pull out my lining pieces as well and put the dots in. And now I think it's the optimal time to put in my custom label. These are the ones for 2026. If you have been here long enough, then you know that every year I get custom labels. I change the colors, and I also put circa and whatever year it is on my label. That means I can recognize what year I made a particular project right off the bat. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to put in on the lining piece right about here, and I'm just going to draw in a guideline just about here or so, and then I will just pop it into place and head to my machine and secure it with a zigzag stitch. Now I also have a couple other pockets that I repurposed from an outfit. What I didn't tell you is that this denim, I actually used the denim from my Rhinecliff overalls from Cashmere Patterns. I made that in 2025, and I did not like how they fit me. I finished the project, I took my pictures, I wore it once, but I thought, nah, I'm probably not going to wear it as is. So I did go ahead and I repurposed the denim from that project, and so I have some patch pockets that are available. Now I did unpick them, so I do need to go and tidy up like all of the loose threads. But I'm wondering if I want a patch pocket maybe on the outside of the bag. I'm not sure if I like how this looks now that I'm doing it. Maybe I can put one on the inside of the bag. That is the, okay, let's turn it around. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the patch pocket now. I like the idea of having like a pocket to like slip my phone in or something like that on the inside. So I can probably go ahead and attach this to the inside lining, but I don't think I like how it looks on the outside of the bag. Nah, it would have needed to be the entire width, I think, of the bag or smaller. And if it was smaller, then it really wouldn't make any sense. So I should play around with this a bit and then I can decide. All right, I think I can get away with it on the inside. Although I probably should not have been lazy and should have cut out a pocket piece from the same lining fabric. But I think, you guys, I'm just going to go ahead and work with this one because it is already constructed and this is only a sample bag and I myself can use it and it will be fine. So even if it's not like perfect, it's fine. It's just for me anyway. So I'm just going to mark just roughly where the center of my patch pocket is so that I can line it up with the markings that I put on the lining. And then I'm going to just pin it into place. And then I am going to remove all of this thread that I probably should have removed before. And then I'll take it to my machine and I will just top stitch this pocket on. Yeah, I think I'll do it. I think I'll do it. It's not great, but it's not awful either. And the denim is a lot more robust. Wait, I wonder if that will have the effect of like weighing down my lining. I didn't think about that until I just said the word robust. Hey, you know what? Let's do it. All right, so for the final step, before I call it quits for the night, I'm thinking I should go ahead and baste in some foam just to give the outer shell a little bit more stability. I should have done this before I did the dots, but I didn't really think about it before. But I just feel like it's not heavy enough. I could not interface the cork. And I'm wondering if just adding a little bit of the foam will add just a little bit more structure to the outside of the bag. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wing it and mark in the dots on the foam. And then I'll sew them in and then baste the foam to the outer shell. And then I am going to call it quits for now. It has been a long day. I worked all day today and I'm tired, you guys. I really am. So I'm just going to do this bit and then I'm going to wrap it up until another day, hopefully tomorrow. Hey boos, I am back. It is now Tuesday the 13th, and I have gone ahead and done a little work on my bag, and now I have to work on putting the lining together. So I've gone ahead and put the tabs in, but I don't have the magnetic snap, so I just went and put a buttonhole in it, and I'm going to go ahead and put a button on the other side. No, the instructions say to top stitch this down, and I did not. Honestly, I just couldn't be bothered to change my thread for this portion. But now I am going to put these right sides together and I'm going to sew up most of the bag lining. I'm going to leave a gap at the bottom because I'm going to need to turn my bag through this lining. And that is because I hacked the pattern and I'm not following the instructions. Now, this is what the bag looks like so far. I did go ahead and I sewed up my side seams and I put some webbing in. This is not the best webbing, I guess, for this bag, but it was the closest that I had, and I wanted to save the really, really good ones for the bag kits for class. And so I just said, I will make this work. It is what it is. So I'm going to now work on the lining piece, and then I'm going to introduce the lining to my main, and then my bag will be done. All right, here we go. The lining has been attached to the main. And now I'm going to try to pull my bag through this gap. Maybe I should have left a bigger gap, but I want to do the smallest amount of hand stitching as possible. So let me just take my time and see if I can get it pushed through the gap that I have left. All right, so this is generally what it looks like. I think I'm going to need to take it to the iron and just try to press over the lining so that it's not showing on the outside, at least on the denim portions. I'm not going to be able to press it on the cork portion, but I can press it on the denim portion. So I think I'm going to need to go ahead and do that. And then I need to go ahead and slip stitch on the inside. But I do have to call it quits for now. I have some other things to do. Stupid adulting, you guys, stupid adulting. And so I am going to have to pick up this project, hopefully again tomorrow. But we are making great progress on our tote bag. Hooray! She's basically done, you guys. I do have to go in and tidy up any loose threads like this one here. And I do need to go in and add a button to my tab because I did not have, as I said earlier, enough of the magnetic snaps. I put the buttonhole in, but it's just a matter of going and attaching my button. So I need to find an appropriate button, but she's done. And this is what she looks like. I've got my pocket on the inside, and then I've got my lining. I like it. I do like it. I just wish it was a little bit sturdier, but I suppose by the time I put stuff in it to kind of give it weight and fill it out, then it will be just fine. So here we go, my Pelican tote, and we're done.